Welcome back to Teal House Farm. I have to wait because my microphone is messed up. If I talk the first like 2 seconds, it doesn't record it. So, I don't know. Anyway, welcome back to Teal House Farm. Not at Teal House Farm. We're at unnamed farm of Adrian. Maybe we'll have a viewer contest to name your farm. How about that? Anyway, we're gonna can some chicken today. So come join us. We're gonna do both boneless and bone-in, so you can kind of see how both work, and it's gonna be fun. And we sent the kids outside. I don't know, can't really see through the windows there, it's too bright, but they've got snacks and things to do, so hopefully they'll be busy for a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we're going to try as well our superb canning lids that a viewer sent me. Hey, are you getting fussy just when I start? Sorry. So we'll check these out today. I'm excited to try these, and we just have some regular ball ones too. We put our clean pint jars in the oven. We turn the oven on 200 and then just turn it off when it gets temperature. This is just to warm the jars up. You don't want to fill cold jars. They could crack on you or explode in the canner. And then the next thing, we'll get the pressure canner ready. We need to fill it up with 2 to 3 inches of water and just make that water hot, not boiling yet. And we also need to bring a separate pot of water to boil on the stove for topping off our chicken. We're using a mixture of chicken today, so we have 3 of these bags of the whole chicken breast. This is boneless white meat chicken. And then I have 1 bag of chicken drumsticks, and we'll be mixing and matching these in the jars. First thing I want to do is chop up the white meat chicken into 1-inch cubes. You don't need to get your ruler out for perfection, but you do want them similar size to make sure that they can evenly. This knife is one of the most awesome knives I've ever used. I'm gonna link it below. This is Adrian's knife, but it cuts so easily and so smoothly. It really is just like an awesome knife set. So I'm gonna link this below if you're looking for a really awesome kitchen knife. We're gonna set the chicken aside in just a bowl until we've diced it all and we're ready to put it in our warm jars. Okay, this is the plan. So you can bone-in chicken or diced cubes. I think the timing is, the timing is the same for both, I think. I don't have to go back and check, but because we're doing bone-in, we are gonna do the max time. So that's 90 minutes for quarts, and it's 75 minutes for pints. We're gonna do pints today, so 75 minutes, and our plan is we're going to stick 1 chicken leg in a jar and then surround it with the diced chicken. And the benefits of that is the skin and the bone on the chicken leg will give the broth inside more flavor because we're just filling with water. And so then if we want to pop open a jar and do like chicken with gravy, you can just make gravy from the water in the jar. So it'd be really good. And also, if you can just boned in chicken in a jar, you don't actually get a whole lot of meat compared to the size of the jar because that bone takes up a lot of space. So we're kind of getting best of both worlds. And also the dark meat on the leg is fattier, which will help the trimmed breast not be like too dry or whatever you want to say, or flavorless in the jar. So that's our plan. That's what we're gonna do. Anything you want to add?
And also like bone-in chicken is always cheaper too.
Oh, that's true. Okay, this is me after the fact of editing the video, and I do need to mention, because we talked about all the positives of doing the mixed jars, but there is a caveat/downside, and I want to make sure I mention it in case you're thinking about doing this, just to make sure that you have the right expectations. When you have bone-in chicken with the bone, you're going to get the collagen from the bone, which is really good for you. It's the jelly stuff, right? That gelatinous material when you cook chicken. But if you are wanting chicken for like making chicken salad or stuff where you're used to just using store-bought chicken, that's all white meat, that's the broth inside the jar is just very watery, there's no jelly-like substance, be warned that canning this way will give you the gelatinous goo on your chicken. And so like I'm going to use this mainly in like pot pies or chicken and gravy or things where the chicken is going to get cooked in like a casserole. Won't make any difference. However, if you, like I said, are wanting to make like chicken salad or have pure like white meat chicken for like a sandwich, just keep that in mind, that when you can with the bone, you will get some collagen, which will leave a jelly, make your broth inside the jar very gelatinous. So I felt like that needed to be mentioned so that you have the correct expectations. So if you don't want that, you can still follow these procedures, but you won't put the drumstick in the jar. You will just pack it with the 1-inch cubes of the white breast meat. So we were trying to remember I bought the 5-pound bag of legs. Those were 50 cents a pound, so it's $2.50 for that bag. And then you thought the chicken breasts were something like $1.30 a pound,
Yeah.
so it's like $3 a bag. Is that math right? We got it. We both found chicken on sale, which is why we're doing this. We'll do some math, and I will put it here at the bottom. Ding! That's how much we anticipate it costing per jar of chicken. Thank you. Who's that baby? Who's that baby? So you've all met Mr. P, the construction manager. This is Georgie, the kitchen manager, and she keeps a careful eye on everything we're doing. Make sure we're doing it right. We're going to take those pint jars out of the oven. They're still nice and warm, and the awesome thing about these porcelain countertops is you can sit the hot things right on them and don't have to worry about it. Let's go ahead and load up these jars. So I'm going to stick 1 drumstick in each jar. I know we don't have enough drumsticks for this whole project, so the rest of the jars will just have the chopped up chicken. Some of the drumsticks are a little bit of a squeeze to get in there, but we get them in there, and then Adrian is going to surround them with the 1-inch cube of the white meat chicken. Some of the drumsticks are actually too tall. This must have been a giant mutant bird that this came out of, but that one is too big. So I'm making an executive decision here to go ahead and just chop a little bit of the nub off the end of the chicken so that it's not too tall for the jar. So we grab a cleaver and just hack it off. And then those couple of chicken drumsticks will fit. The remaining jars we just go ahead and pack with the 1-inch cubes. We ended up with 16 pint jars total. I think 12 of them had drumsticks in them. Once we're all packed, we'll go ahead and add a ½ teaspoon of salt to each pint. If you're doing quarts, you'll add a whole teaspoon. And then we top off with our boiling water. We want 1-inch headspace, but I always overfill a bit because when you debubble, the water is going to sink into those air cracks. You can always take a little water off the top if you need to. See, that one there is a little bit too much water, so we're going to go ahead and siphon that off. But after debubbling, the rest of the jars looked really great. We're going to wipe the tops of the jars with a clean cloth. This gets any chunky chicken residue off of there, and then they're ready for our lids. The lids are clean, and then we put them in a bowl of warm water to help soften the seals, and then we're going to go ahead and put them on top of the jars. Put the rings on to fingertip tightness, and then those are going to be ready to go in our canner. If you've ever been told you can't can on a glass top stove, that is not true. This is an induction compatible canner. It's actually the same one I have at home, even though I don't have a glass top stove. This is a great canner by Presto, and it's very affordable. We're going to go do 2 layers of the pint, so we put our separator in there and then do our second layer. Lid on. And then we're going to need to bring it up to temperature here. So we want a chimney of steam to come out for 10 minutes before we put the weight on. It does take a little bit of time to get that steam chimney, so you do have to be patient, but once you get it, you can plop your regular regulator on there, and then it's 75 minutes for the pints. Georgie and I enjoy some outside time in the sunshine and the really nice quiet view from Adrian's back porch. After the pints are done, you want the canner to cool down completely. Then you remove your weight, wait 5 minutes, then remove the lid. Always point the lid away from you so the steam doesn't get you, and then you can go ahead and remove your jars. You want them to sit for 24 hours before removing the rings for storage. Don't forget to label your jars. Though chicken is pretty chickeny, you just never know. Always label your jars so you remember. Okay, so the canning is all done, and you saw the video of her taking it out in the picture I posted for this. You can see what it kind of looks like when it's all canned. It's very similar to store-bought chicken in its appearance. But one thing I will mention is we did have a lot of seal failure rate on this one. So I can't show you that. The jars are actually still all at Adrian's house because we had to leave before like they were all cooled off and we could take them. So we'll get them from her at church. Not a big deal. So I don't want her to show you, but she said that 6 out of the 16 the seals failed, and that's really disappointingly poor quality, right? And so this is our first time using the Superb canning lids, and I'm hopeful that this is a error on our part. She has a new stove, and it's a little bit harder to control the temperature on. So with the regulator, you really have to listen carefully until you get really used to your stove. And so I'm wondering if maybe the pressure was just a little bit too high, because with the regulator, you can't look at the pressure gauge and trust it. So even though the pressure gauge looks good, the regulator was going a little bit too much. We adjusted the temperature a few times. So I'm thinking that maybe we just we had a little bit too much pressure, which will cause extra siphoning, which then can cause a high failure rate because you get goop under the lids. I'm really hoping it's not those superb canning lids because I've heard so many good things about them, and I was so excited to try them. And they feel and look great. They're nice and heavy. There's a lot of rubber around the inside for seal, so I'm hoping it's an error on our part, not those lids. We're going to try them again here on my stove, which I'm very familiar with, and so we know that the pressure issue, if that is the issue, if that was a problem with the regulator, isn't an issue, so I'm very familiar with my own equipment. So we'll see. So I'll keep you posted. I'm curious if other people have had high failure rate with the superb lids. I see them advertised everywhere by other homestead channels, but those are commission paid advertisements. I do hope people give honest reviews, which I'm hopeful that they do, but again, everyone I've seen has always been a commission based, and it could just be people pushing product. So we'll try them again and we'll give you guys a heads up, but I'm hopeful that it was more of an error on our part and not an error of the lids. But either way, we've eaten lots of chicken the next few days just to get that used up since it didn't seal correctly, but we do have plenty of jars that did seal correctly, and you will use these just like you would use store-bought chicken. Now for the fun part, the cost analysis. Is it cheaper to do at home? In this case, yes, because we got some really good sale prices. So we spent what came out to be 76 cents a pint for the chicken. Again, this is a mixture of dark and white meat, so if you were to buy just the jars, the canned jars at the store, those are all white meat usually, so, you know, ours is a little bit cheaper because we have dark meat thrown in there, but still, 76 cents a pint is what we spent, and at the store, I was at Sam's Club today, and it was $14 for a stack of 6, and so that comes out to $2.33, and those jars, I didn't look at the size, but they're bigger than tuna jars, but there's no way they hold a pint's worth. So this is actually incredibly less expensive than buying the canned chicken, at least the Sam's Club brand canned chicken. So definitely something I will do again anytime we see a really good deal on sale. So thanks so much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you again really soon.